Hello and welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, and mentor. With me today is Baran Menguloglu. I'm not going to say that again, everybody. I tried. I think it came out okay. We're going to see if I did okay. He's a student with us since October of 2021. He began his investing journey as a real estate agent in 2018. I mean, Baran is a serial entrepreneur, and he's got some really amazing stories to talk about today. He was at MM1 back in 2017. He didn't pull the trigger. A little procrastination. We're going to find out why it took 4 years to actually join the community, and he got some tips on students and potential students wanting to join the community. And he's also made another beautiful analogy about real estate being a journey. Where are you starting out? So without further ado, Baran, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Gino. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, the pleasure's all mine. And MM1, what was your thoughts when you went to MM1 back in 2017? About 125 people at that event in Knoxville. What were your initial thoughts about real estate, about multifamily, about the event, about Jake and Gino?
So first of all, I was very impressed, but to be honest with you, I was also scared. Because when you start with multifamily and when you talk about bigger deals, multi-units, and it seems too big for you. But that moment, I did not break down all the moving parts of the multifamily. Mm-hmm. So it was very exciting, but it was a little scary, and it was get on the way some other stuff.
So what happened? Why did you come to MM4? What prompted you to come to the event in Orlando? That, you got to get on a plane, you got to travel, you've seen these guys already. And while Baran is doing this, he's got multiple businesses. He's running multiple businesses. He's a busy person. He's a real estate agent. What prompted you to come to MM4 and change and say, hey, let me try this multifamily thing?
Sure, absolutely. So since MM1, I follow you guys. I mean, like all the time. But the problem was that I was working inside of my business. I wasn't on my other businesses. So it took really long time to change the system and not to be in day-to-day operation. Mm-hmm. So it took 4 years. But before that, I had to be honest with you, the main reason was the procrastination. It's just the human nature. And it took 4 years.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say to anybody listening to this right now that's going through that procrastination? Listen, I procrastinated as well. My quick story is I just had enough pain in my life that I said, listen, I need to do something different. I can't keep doing the restaurant business. I'm in my mid-30s. I've got a big family. This will not be able to support me long-term. That is what actually propelled me to crush the procrastination. How did you overcome that procrastination?
So it was a journey. So it didn't overnight. So it was the best thing to do is to pull myself or yourself out of the situation and look yourself from outside in. And that's the way to help you to differentiate what's important versus urgent. Mm-hmm. That will be the best thing in my end, I can say.
Mm-hmm. And when you look back at it, you had said to me, I wish I had joined back in 2017. What do you think the difference would have been right now if you had been part of this community for 5 years instead of 1 year?
Probably at least $10 million. Easy, yeah. So, I mean, to joining the Jake and Gino, it was not just the multifamily, and it's also self-development and the keys for the success and happiness. So I get so many different, we get so many hosts on Monday classes, and not just with the business or multifamily. I mean, with this community, I shape my life in different direction.
Mm-hmm. I got to add on that a little bit because I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me expand that for the listeners. It's values-based decision-making as well, making decisions based on your values, actually thinking about your values. Baran talks about the personal development aspect of it. We're not just talking multifamily all the time because Baran is intelligent enough, and a lot of our students are intelligent enough to really know what a cap rate is, to be able to invest, but then to be able to work on the procrastination, work on the development, work on the mind. That is really, really important. And Baran this weekend, he was at at one of our events. So showing up and putting in the time, coming to a money mixer, coming to a Manage Right bootcamp, I think that's all so important. Talk about the weekend event. What did you think about this event this weekend? I loved it. I mean, went to a brew pub for lunch, got on a bus, looked at 3 different properties, got the chance to ability to network with over 50 students. What were your, highlights of the weekend?
First of all, I pick your brain about my plans for Italy trip. So that's a promise I made to my wife. And the second one is getting to buses and seeing what you guys did. Since I'm in Knoxville market, I can see in firsthand the difference you are making in the apartment buildings you have. Also networking with people, and I met with so many new great people. And every time I go to event, I see new faces. So it's very dynamic group.
So I like that. The relationships, I think, is one of the keys to any kind of community, because you can learn the education, you can go on YouTube, you can watch the videos, but sometimes you just need a little kick in the butt. We all slack off, and I'm the same way. This summertime, I waned a little bit. I wasn't as excited, but then you know what? I got on a plane Wednesday, went to Jake's house for a couple of days. We had the coaches retreat. Saturday, we had the event with the students, and I personally love those events because I have Baran coming up to me, talking to me about, hey, how do we do Italy? What discuss that. Students come up to me and talk about how to raise kids. Some of them want to talk about homeschooling. Some of them want to talk about real estate. Some of them want to talk about family. Some of them want to talk about finances, whole life, whatever that is. I just love being able to interact with all the students because they do come for multifamily, and that's really, really important. That's the vehicle we teach. But then ultimately, there's so much more to life than just multifamily, and I think that's really, really important. Baran, you had mentioned something. I love the analogy you made about a real estate journey. Let's dive into that. Talking about, like, you look at a real estate journey as looking at a book, depending on where you start off in the journey.
Sure, absolutely. The way I see real estate is a journey of a book, and it depends on your skill set and the business experience or work or professional experience. You are starting from a different chapter of this book. So I was fortunate enough, I started from a couple of chapters in advance. But if there is anybody's just starting the multifamily real estate, don't be afraid to start from the beginning. It's just going to take longer, but at the end of the day, it's not a short-term run, it's a marathon. So it's better to digest all the aspects of the multifamily and overall real estate rather than just, try to make it in a short period of time.
And I love the story you shared with me about coming to MM4. Can you share that with the listeners? As far as someone who's on the fence saying to themselves, I don't really need to come to events, I can do Zoom calls. You had those lunches, different lunches with different people. Dive into that and really talk about that mindset about all of a sudden something just clicked and said, okay, procrastination over.
Absolutely. So any type of decision I take on my business or personal life, I always look at the pattern. And when I was in MM4, I had a Saturday here. I had a lunch with a group of students, and I had a dinner with different group of students. And on Sunday, I had a lunch with different group of students, and I see a pattern. Everybody was so positive, and they gain personally, financially, a lot of things from the group. And right after the lunch, I went to Mackenzie and I just signed up the program.
That's awesome. I love that. We never really dove into why multifamily for you, because you've got multiple businesses going on. Why is this vehicle ideal for Baran?
Well, there's so much advantages on multifamily. The biggest ones are that there are so many leverages we can pull on multifamily. And the most important ones for me is the cash out refi and the cost segregation. And these are unbelievable. And people don't do this, don't get advantage of those. They are missing a lot. They leave a lot of money on table.
And when you talk to students when they're starting on their journey, a lot of them don't even know what a cash out refi is. When they're first starting out, they don't know what cost segregation is. Isn't it amazing that people make decisions based on a vehicle without even understanding it? I mean, when you saw it, did you understand cost segregation and cash out refi when you were looking at multifamily, or did you learn these strategies as you dove into it?
Actually, the second one, because the thing is, to learning all this stuff is different than you actually doing it and getting the money back. And it's totally different feeling. It just clicks. are much more solid than just on the paper. So.
I love that. And you're a person who likes to build businesses. And you had said to me, sometimes multifamily people may shy away or may think it's a long-term a deal. And to me, I think that's a positive, because you had said something else that we always talk about, that shiny object syndrome. Talk about that and how that may have held you back. And the fact that you're building a business is more of a long-term venture as well. So can you dive into that a little bit for us?
Absolutely. So that's the other thing I like about real estate and especially multifamily. So any type of, I'm in a retail business, and it's a brick and mortar, or I have online retail businesses, or I have a car dealer. At the end of the day, it's also retail business. You are dealing with inventory, and there's so many moving parts. You are in a restaurant business, and when you have so many moving parts, when you deal with so many different people and their emotions, their problems, it get into way of the scaling of the business. Versus on multifamily, it is so much more structured, and you can leverage on so many different things. You can leverage on people, you can leverage on debt, and you can leverage off so many different things, and then it gives you a long term gain. So there might be, I mean, I see a lot on this on real estate, multifamily versus single family. Maybe people make money here and there. Maybe they make a lot of money, but it's very transactional and very emotional. Emotional part is extremely important, because let's say you're a single family guy and you are flipping, your emotion goes up and down, up and down. Versus multifamily, you know the expectations, and you have the leverage to react before anything happens in markets, in local market, or in the bigger scale, like in national markets.
And that I need to expand on that answer, because that was a phenomenal answer. And what Baran is talking about is leverage the people. You're not only using other people's money, you're using other people's time as well, with a property manager, with maintenance techs. And Jake actually just said it to me yesterday. Once again, we are buying boxes in multifamily. When you're buying a 25-unit property, you're buying 25 boxes. When you're buying 6 single-family homes, each home is different. It's very hard to scale that. But when you're buying a 25-unit property, they're basically all the same units. They all have the same washer, dryer hookups inside, whether they have them. They all have the same appliances. They have the same location for the hot water heater. Air conditioning units are the same. You can scale that type of business a lot quicker. On top of it being one transaction for 25 units, as opposed to having 25 different transactions. You have one property tax bill, you have one insurance bill, you may have one employee. So the scalability is truly important to anybody who has that business mind. So that's really, really important. And you're also talking about scaling the debt. Debt is an important component upon it. And also leveraging and being able to scale the cost segregation and the taxes. That is all so important when we're talking about multifamily. Let's talk about the first deal. How did you come about the first deal, and why were you excited about this first deal?
So my first deal actually was an RV park, not a multifamily, and uh, it's Darren Light is my accountability coach, and we met for a first meeting, and then we click, and we start to talk. We met again. I call him, hey, listen, there are apartments. I want to take a look. Can you join me? And I call him again. So we look at couple properties, and then this RV park deal came to him off markets. It was a mom and pop owner. They did not want it to put it out on the markets. It came through realtor, and it was a fantastic deal. And we just closed it in June this year.
So talk about Baran, though, even like being able to access the coach, tell the coach, hey, let's go look at a couple of deals. How was that process of actually having someone with another set of eyes on your deals, giving you that confidence to look at those deals? How was that?
So it was fantastic. So the way anytime I walk or with anybody experience, I tell them, okay, I did the same thing this weekend. I was walking your units with Fernando. I said, please think loud. So I want to pick up your brain. So this is what we did with Darren. I said, okay, please, when we are walking, just talk loud, and let me pick up what's in your mind. So this is what we did. And 50% of what he was talking about, they were already in my mind. So it was easy to partner up because we were in the same page. So I strongly recommend to have somebody as an accountability partner, or a coach, or a coaching program, because it gives you it open up their brain to you. So basically you multiply your mind or brain power.
Mm-hmm. Baran, do you remember December 24th of last year? Someone named Baran calls Gino. It's Christmas Eve, and is talking about a deal. And I'll never forget that phone call, because I guess most people don't work on Christmas Eve, but I'm so conditioned to working. And when somebody calls me from the community, has my cell number, and I'm thinking, I need to take this call because it's urgent and it's being a fiduciary. And I remember, Brian, you called about a deal, wanting to know the structure, wanting to know the units. If you want to share that story as well, because I think it's important when you join a community, you want to have the confidence that the people are doing it, that we're actually investing in these deals, and we can look at these deals and we're able to, quote unquote, pick the mentor's brains. And I think, to me, I love working. So getting on the call that day, I remember it was beautiful outside. I'm in Florida, so it was about 65 degrees. I'm sitting under my pool chair, and I get this phone call. It's from Knoxville. I'm like, I'm not sure who this is, but I'm still going to pick it up. So do you remember that phone call?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember very well. I will never forget, because uh, that time we were still at hospital. We just had a baby.
Ah,
So it was second or third day of our son, and
uh-huh.
this deal just came on my way. And I know nobody look at the deals right before the Christmas, and this property was very close to your property. So I said, let me pick up the Gino's brain, and it was very informative, and I did the right decision, giving the right offer, and it was fantastic. I also couple get tips from you. Like, it was not just about the deal structure, but how to approach the realtors, because I'm also a realtor, and you did some realtor work. I don't know if you still do it, and you give me fantastic tips about how to approach to a realtor if you are a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I remember talking about that, because a lot of people now, in that part of the cycle, the brokers have a tough job. Brokers are out there trying to sell deals. That's their number one priority. How do I sell this deal? And us as buyers, we just want to beat the brokers down. And sometimes the brokers know at some point that these properties were overpriced, but what are they going to do? That's the market. So for Baran to go in there and say, hey, your property is overpriced, this is what I'm giving you, what you need to do is to say, hey, the property is a little bit higher for my investors. I love the deal. You did a great job. Let me put this offer in. If it's too low, you don't have to, you don't have to submit the offer, but let's continue to work. And I think that's one of the ways we try to teach the Jake and Gino students, because you can make fun of brokers and say they've got an easy job, but their job is really working both sides. They're trying to get the seller the best price, and they're trying to get to their buyer a fair price. And now, as the market's cycling and shifting, brokers are going to have a tough time, because sellers are still up here, but they need to come down here. So it's going to be an interesting, and you're in the real estate space, you're a realtor. It's an interesting dynamic and time, because, the markets haven't been down in a decade. So this is going to be an interesting time that we're going in. I love that. But Baran, where do you see yourself as far as any goals you have set aside for yourself, and as far as multifamily and your businesses?
so my first goal is, in 3 months I need to find uh, uh, passive or LP deals or GP deals with 100% or more cost segregation by end of this year.
Mm,
So anybody deals that they can give me cost segregation, that's the first thing for end of this year.
mhm,
This is a fantastic vehicle to offset your taxes for if you make money on your other businesses.
mhm.
And in 5 years, I would like to leverage 90% of my business in real estate. And in 10 years, I would like to be a professional leverage, not limited partner, but leverage partner on my real estate deals.
That's awesome. And where are you going to go to Italy? You're going to Italy. So where do you guys want to go?
It's still up in the air, but I will call you before I go up. I mean, I'm not sure about the timing. I just gave the promise to my wife, so.
So once you make the promise, and I'll tell everyone on air, if you get a chance to go to Italy, Rome is a difficult city. It's huge. It's loud. It's noisy. It's a little dirty, but it is an amazing place to spend a couple of days, whether you're traveling the Vatican museums, whether you're going to the Colosseum, the history there, to look at a building that was built 2,000 years ago and to say that's legacy, that's long-termism. It gave me the mindset of, wow, I'm doing the right thing in multifamily. And I want my legacy to last generations, not just money, but just the thought and the financial intelligence and passing that down. It's solidified. You need to go to Florence if you've never been to Italy. Florence is absolutely beautiful. A couple of days there. Maybe Sorrento, Capri, beautiful beaches. The Amalfi Coast is amazing there, depending on how much time you have. And hey, we can't forget about Venice. You need to go up to Venice for a couple of days and say, how do these people actually live 500 years ago on these canals? And these buildings are still here. It's an amazing place to be. The food is wonderful. So I'm expecting a phone call, hopefully in the next couple of months by Baran, and I'm going to help him set up this, this beautiful trip. Last question for me, Baran, and this is in all seriousness. If I'm listening to the show, and I know that I know multifamily is the right vehicle. I know I want to build long-term wealth. I know that the cost segregation is great. I know that building a business is something that I want to do, but I'm procrastinating. How can I start my multifamily journey? What's the best way for people to do it? Since you procrastinated and you ultimately started, what should people do next?
So the first thing to do, I think, follow any podcast like Jake and Gino's podcast and joining to the community. And it just doesn't give the excuses to not to procrastinate, but also put you on a spot to be accountable.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I want to recap the show real quick for anybody who's saying to themselves, you know what, multifamily is a pie in the sky. It took Baran 4 years. Back in 2017, he came to MM1. He sat in the crowd. He met the amazing people there. He wasn't ready. And it's okay. Sometimes in life, we're not ready. Multifamily or any big venture in life is only ready for you when you are ready to accept it, because you need to make that commitment. And with that commitment comes sacrifice. Baran's businesses were not ready at that time to do it. Now, he may say to himself, hey, I lost a couple of $1 million, but it doesn't matter how much you lost because you wouldn't have been able to capitalize on it. You may not have been ready mentally or emotionally. Once you're ready, once you want to surround yourself with amazing people, once you want to hold yourself accountable, that accountability piece is so important. Once you're ready to do that, go to jakeandgino.com/apply, submit an application to work with the community. See if it's a good fit for you, because it is going to be a commitment, not only a commitment of money, but I think a commitment of time is far outweighs the money aspect of it, because we're really busy. I mean, he's in the hospital on Christmas Eve, calling me about a deal and worrying about his businesses while he just had a baby. So talk about the commitment and the sacrifice that he's made to get to where he is. I think we all have to exhibit that. Baran, where can the listeners get a hold of you?
So they can reach me or via my email, baraninvestmentgroup@gmail.com. And you also, if they Google my name on LinkedIn, I can be easily reached out.
Absolutely. And if anybody's got an LPD or a GP deal, looking for an amazing team member, looking for somebody who has systems, looking for somebody who has the investor mindset, who has the capital, hit up Baran. Listen, Baran, I want to thank you for being an amazing guest and sharing your story on the show. Now, if you want to be on the next Movers and Shakers, email us at mackenzie@jakeandgino.com. And if you like the show, please leave a review. Until next time, let's all make it a Movers and Shakers week. See you, Baran. Thanks.
See you.